You don't need to be a smooth talker or super confident or try to win people over. The truth is, people decide whether they like you or not in less than 90 seconds, and most of the time, you don't even realize it. Surprised? Well, the ones who understand this have a real advantage. Today, you're going to learn how to make anyone like you in 90 seconds with this one psychological technique. Now, this isn't about faking anything. It's about triggering a response in someone's brain that instantly creates a deep impression, one so strong, they'll feel a genuine connection with you, even if they can't explain why. This is applied neuroscience. With just a small shift in your behavior, the way people see you completely changes. You'll start getting more respect, more attention, and even more warmth from others, without changing how you look or even what you say. So go ahead and drop a comment below. I want to be remembered. Hit that like button, and let's dive into the technique that changes everything. We're surrounded by screens, notifications, and constant interaction, but deep down, a lot of people feel invisible. That pain of not being truly heard, of speaking and feeling like no one's really listening, it's becoming more and more common. Studies show that 1 in 3 adults in the US feels lonely, even when they're around others. And that points to something serious, something we don't talk about enough. The real problem isn't the lack of people around us. It's the lack of genuine connection. What we're missing is the ability to create instant trust, make someone feel they can open up to you, that there's something about your energy that just feels safe, welcoming, and real. This goes way beyond just knowing how to talk. It's about body language, emotional impact, nonverbal cues, and what we call energetic alignment. When these elements come together, you're not just heard, you become someone people are drawn to, someone they respect, even admire. And here's the key. This is something you can learn. The ability to build instant connection isn't a gift, it's a technique. When you understand how to apply powerful communication, using a form of persuasion based on reading people, you stop feeling ignored. Instead, you start being noticed, remembered, valued. And that's what most people are secretly searching for, to be seen, to be understood, to be truly appreciated from the very first moment. And the crazy part? It all starts in just a few seconds. Literally. You don't have minutes to make a great impression. You have seconds. In the very first 2 seconds of any interaction, your brain is already deciding whether or not the other person is trustworthy. And this happens unconsciously, automatically, and most importantly, before you've said a single word. Your internal radar kicks in and silently asks, is this person safe? Do they seem like me? That's when the judgment begins. And over the next 88 seconds, the brain is just scanning for signs that confirm what it already decided at the start. That's why body language is more powerful than any speech. Your tone of voice, your gaze, your posture, your energy, everything speaks. Before your mouth opens, your body is already telling people whether or not they can trust you. And that first impression, it directly affects your personal magnetism, your ability to influence, and how persuasive you are in seconds. Those who learn to read these cues can control how others perceive them. And when you apply this consciously, building instant connection becomes much easier. Here's the truth. Effective communication doesn't start with words, it starts with your body. It's about how you walk into a room, how you say hello, how your eyes meet theirs. These small signals instantly trigger or block empathy. But most people were never taught how to use this. Mastering nonverbal communication is like having a secret advantage. It turns ordinary conversations into memorable experiences. And the most incredible part? This 90-second code can be trained. And once you learn to use it to your advantage, everything changes. Real influence isn't about being a great speaker. It's about creating trust, clarity, and emotion, the 3 pillars behind every powerful form of communication. Nicholas Boothman, in his book, How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less, explains how these elements are the foundation of real human connection. The first pillar? Instant trust. And it doesn't come from fancy words. It comes from presence, an open posture, steady eye contact, and a genuine smile. That says more than any rehearsed pitch ever could. Next comes logic. But we're not talking about being overly analytical. We're talking about clarity. People respect those who are direct, who speak with confidence, coherence, and simplicity, who say what they mean without pretending to be someone they're not. Any persuasive message, no matter how natural it sounds, rests on a clear, logical structure underneath. And the third pillar, often the most overlooked, is emotion. People follow those who make them feel something. A personal story, a true example, a touch of light humor. These moments create emotional impact. They build empathy. They make space for your message to land and stick. When these three pillars line up, that's when personal magnetism is born. That's when you become the kind of person others want to talk to. Someone whose presence is not just noticed, but remembered. That's why some people with polished speech still fail to connect, while others with simple words move crowds. The secret is in balancing all three. And if this is already lighting something up inside you, wait until you see how you can adapt your energy to connect with anyone. Those who truly know how to connect with others understand that the secret isn't in repeating scripts, it's in being able to adjust in real time. The most powerful communication skill you can learn is adaptability. And that's where the KFC formula comes in. A simple yet incredibly effective concept. Know what you want. Find out what you're getting. Change what you do. It sounds basic, but very few people actually apply this. Take Mila, a therapist from California. Early on, she noticed resistance during her first sessions with new clients. Then she started paying closer attention to her body language, her tone of voice, and her energetic presence. She shifted how she introduced herself, using a warmer, more open approach. And within minutes, she was building instant connection. That's NLP in action, reading the room, picking up on nonverbal cues, and adjusting your strategy at the right moment. Most people stick to the same approach over and over, then feel frustrated when they aren't heard or understood. But the problem usually isn't what you're trying to say, it's how you're saying it. Sometimes, all it takes is slowing down your speech, choosing more sensory words, opening up your posture, or softening your gaze. Small changes create big results. This is the real-life application of personal influence. And once you start using this consciously, even a quick elevator chat can turn into an opportunity for something bigger. There's a silent pattern that charismatic people follow, often without even realizing it. They walk into a room and quickly draw attention and warmth from others. It's not magic, it's method. There are specific steps you can take within the first few seconds of an interaction to create instant trust and begin building real connection. Most of these steps involve nonverbal communication and a level of awareness that anyone can train. And it all begins before you even speak. The way you dress already sends a message. If you want to communicate both authority and warmth, choose clothes that show intention and balance. As you approach someone, shift your mental state. Think clearly and confidently, I'm good. This is going to be a great connection. That alone changes your energy immediately. When greeting someone, make eye contact. That activates a sense of presence. Look at the color of the other person's eyes. Not because it matters for the conversation, but because it forces you to be present, fully focused on that moment. Turn your chest slightly toward them. It signals openness. Keep your hands visible. It creates an unconscious sense of safety. Smile gently, not overly. Avoid fake, mechanical smiles. They come off as insincere. Ask a soft, thoughtful question like, how's your week been? Or what's been exciting you lately? That sparks curiosity and opens the door to empathy. Finally, match your tone and energy to theirs. If they speak slowly, slow down. If they're more animated, raise your energy a little. That mirroring is where personal magnetism is born. Sounds simple? It is, but works with almost mathematical precision. And what's most surprising, most people were never taught any of this in school or even at home. These small adjustments, made within the first 10 seconds, take you from ordinary to emotionally noticeable. And once you're on someone's emotional radar, everything gets easier, including reading people and adapting your communication style to totally different personalities. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. If you really want to get good at personal influence, there's one essential truth you need to understand. People don't experience the world the same way. Each person has a dominant filter that shapes how they communicate, how they absorb information, and what creates emotional impact. Recognizing that filter is what separates someone who's just good at conversation from someone who can genuinely connect in seconds. These filters are known as sensory profiles, and they fall into three main types: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Visual types think in images. They speak quickly, gesture a lot, and use words like, look at this, I visualize it this way. When speaking with them, match their pace, use visual language, and, even better, show something physical to make your point. Auditory types have a slower, more rhythmic speaking style. They're tuned in a tone of voice, and they often say things like, I hear you, that resonates, that makes sense to me. With them, how you sound matters just as much as what you say. So be mindful of your intonation, cadence, and pauses. Kinesthetic types speak more slowly. They value feeling and physical sensations, using phrases like "this feels heavy," "I sense that it's right," or "something doesn't sit well." To connect with them, your approach should be warm, grounded, and emotionally present. Give them space to process and speak with calm intention. Identifying someone's sensory profile is like discovering the code to their internal language. And when you speak to someone in their emotional language, empathy happens naturally. The power of this communication technique is not about you. It's about how the other person feels in your presence. And the faster you can recognize their profile, the easier it becomes to build a real, authentic connection. If that already sounds powerful, just wait until you see how different personality types react to these sensory cues. Not every communication issue comes from bad intentions. Often, it's just a simple mismatch of personalities. Being able to read people goes far beyond recognizing if someone is visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. It also means understanding how they make decisions, organize their thoughts, and interact with the world around them in professional environments. For distinct personality types, show up clearly: dreamers, analyzers, influencers, and controllers. Once you learn how to identify them, you can adjust your communication style and build instant connection, even with people who seem completely different from you. Dreamers are creative, full of ideas, and love thinking outside the box. But to truly connect with them, they need to feel free to imagine. Pressure them too much, and they'll shut down. Analyzers are logical, detail-oriented, and precise. They value structure and clarity, and they expect your message to be well-organized and rational. Influencers are charismatic, enthusiastic, and emotionally expressive. If you don't bring energy and engagement, they'll quickly lose interest. Controllers are direct, focused, and results-driven. They don't like fluff. They respect people who are clear, confident, and straight to the point. The key here isn't to fake it, it's to adapt. Showing someone that you understand how they operate is one of the fastest ways to build trust. This is a high-value skill for leaders, therapists, entrepreneurs, and anyone who works with people. And here's the fascinating part. When you combine someone's sensory profile with their personality style, your level of personal influence naturally expands. And that brings us to something almost no one is taught: the power of introducing yourself clearly and effectively in just a few seconds. You never know when an opportunity will show up. That's why you need to be ready to make an impact fast. And that requires total clarity about who you are, what you do, and why it matters. Most people freeze when someone asks, "So what do you do?" They ramble, over-explain, or give a generic answer. And while that's happening, the chance to spark curiosity or build personal connection slips away. Having a strong pitch is a form of persuasive communication that sets you apart in the first 10 seconds. The secret? Be clear, emotional, and memorable. You don't need fancy titles or industry jargon. You need to create empathy to make the other person think, "I want to hear more about that." Here's a great example. I help people reconnect with who they really are and manifest dreams they once thought were impossible. Short, clear, powerful. It communicates purpose. It tugs at emotion, and it naturally opens the door for a deeper conversation. It works in job interviews, networking events, casual encounters, or even online. When you have clarity in your message, your communication starts working for you. And here's the best part: the right pitch doesn't have to be fixed. It can shift depending on who you're talking to. Remember the sensory profiles and professional personality types we talked about? When you combine a strong pitch with the ability to read people, you become someone who connects in seconds, while others are still trying to figure out what to say. That's when your presence starts opening doors, often before you even realize it. Most people go through life trying to be heard, trying to be accepted, trying to be seen, and they fail. Not because they lack value, but because they don't know how to communicate that value in the first few seconds. When you realize that powerful communication begins before you speak, when you learn to use your body language, build instant trust, and spark real connection, everything changes. People start to treat you with more respect, more openness, and more genuine interest. And now, you have this simple technique in your hands, a method that can make anyone like you in just 90 seconds. The difference lies in using it. Test it, observe, adjust, practice until it feels natural. And if this message made something click for you, share it with someone who needs to turn things around in the way they communicate. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Which one of these strategies are you going to start using today? Because the truth is, when you communicate with presence, the world starts listening to you differently.